What's up, everybody? Welcome to IGN Plays Live, and welcome to The Division. It's here hours earlier than expected. And in the mad scramble to get a stream together, here we are.
Yes, here we are.
Vince playing on a PS4 and myself playing on an Xbox One next to each other, not actually playing with each other, but we're here together, and that's what's important. So, we'll be streaming on Twitch. I will be looking at your tweets on Twitter at IGN with the hashtag IGN Plays Live.
Hashtag.
And then, of course, YouTube. I will be showing the YouTube chat some love. Ask us questions about the game. Ask us anything you want. We will do our darndest to answer it. So let's get right into it.
Yeah, indeed. So we're what you're seeing in front of you is the PS4 version. This is the intro. I've seen this intro once before. I'll let you guys watch it. It's pretty dope. It's pretty sick. What I love about Tom Clancy games is that they at least attempt to find plausible rationalizations
For zombies.
ideas. Yeah, for zombies.
No zombies? Okay.
Okay, no zombies. Sorry.
We're hearing no zombies. Is that correct?
This is coming in through the headset right now. Breaking news: no zombies.
Very distinct lack of zombies.
But this idea right here,
Dangerous.
yeah, and like if there's, we were saying this before the stream, there is literally no better way I can think of for a bioterrorist to propagate a disease than
So all of you young sprouting bioterrorists out there,
Nope.
pay careful attention.
no, please turn the stream off because we'd all be dead. We'd all be dead.
Yeah, I have to say I'm a big fan of this intro. I think this game does a great job of setting up atmosphere, especially for a pseudo MMO shared world shooter.
Yeah. Destiny had a good that intro video with a man landing on, was it Mars or
It was Mars.
It's Mars, right?
Yeah, it was great. And then it just never
And
tied in.
That
It
went,
never
away,
touched
that went away completely.
There was this feeling of awe and wonder that immediately was dispersed.
But yeah, so we've got kind of like a dual purpose for this stream, right? So James,
Yes.
you're going to be doing some Division stuff
Oh,
for a bit now, aren't you?
I am indeed.
Let's talk about
Myself,
that.
Destin Legary, yourself, Brandon Tyrell, and anybody else we have on. We are Division HQ.
That's
It is the IGN Division podcast, similar to The Vault, if you ever saw that. And you can go and check that out. It's on IGN right now, or will be in the coming moments. Check it out, Division HQ. It is the very first episode. We talk about a lot of things, including but not limited to how the gear or how the RPG nature may be at odds with some of the aesthetic elements, the DLC launch content that's coming down the line, and all these other things. And you are here to promote something entirely different.
That's right. So, I'm going to be reviewing The Division for you good folks there at home, you IGN viewers and readers. Of course, since we just got access to the game today, at the same time when the servers went up for everybody else, you can imagine that we're not gonna, we're not done. I haven't formulated my opinions of this game. In fact, you're gonna be watching me formulate my first notions about this game right here. I didn't really play the beta too much, if at all. So you're gonna, for these first couple of hours that we're here streaming, you're gonna see me having my first experiences with the game and sharing some of my first thoughts. Although you can expect review in progress entries by text, via the written word. We're hoping to have one up later on today.
Like that you have to
before the end
read?
of the day. Yeah, you have to read with your eyes.
But there's
going to
be a video review too, right?
There is going to be a
Eventually?
video review, so don't worry about that. At the
With
end,
your eyes and brain.
I know. If you're scared of having to use your brain to read, don't worry. There will be. We'll have something for you as well.
Cool.
So,
Good. I'm glad there's something for me.
yeah, and we don't have an exact ETA on that. Keep in mind, this is the kind of game that we have to, we need to.
Better do it right than do it quick.
Exactly. Want to do it right. I mean, a large part of it is getting towards the end and getting into the end game stuff and seeing what the game is like in the late game is really important to these kinds of games. So we don't want to jump.
So
the gun.
Ubisoft opted not to do kind of a review early access period because of the MMO-ish nature of this game. It wouldn't
Right.
make a lot of sense to be playing on empty servers. You want to be playing at launch, formulate your opinion with the other people that are going to be in the game because that's the experience that is being sold here.
Right. So I'm gonna pick my dude.
Make your guy.
Yeah, put my dude together.
So I probably had 20, if not 30 hours in both betas combined. And the thing that sold me on this game initially, I wasn't really even that interested in it, if I'm being completely honest. I thought the aesthetic was like, it's cool, it's whatever. But then I got into the game, played through some of the early missions, which again really didn't do that much for me. But then I got to the Dark Zone, and the Dark Zone in the first closed beta was, in terms of this AAA kind of multiple platform release game, it's the first time I've seen something like that implemented in a way that I really enjoyed. I'm a huge fan of DayZ. I'm a huge fan of Rust. Rust is fantastic.
Yes, you are.
Love the game. Games like The Culling. Check it out on Steam now. It's out. It's only $15 actually, the culling. And so it's kind of this game that there's you see the same things over and over, but there's this wellspring of content that just keeps coming out because it relies on players' emergent experiences.
Yes.
So you can play, a match of the culling 20,000 times. You'll never see the same scenario twice because of player psychology and the way other people are acting, and that's kind of what the Dark Zone brought to light. They made some changes to the Dark Zone in the second implementation of the beta that were not necessarily to my liking, but the cool thing about this is it's definitely going to be an ongoing process in terms of balance, in terms of player feedback, in terms of all these things that they are going to be adding to the game. So if you don't like something about the game, make sure you let Ubisoft know on the forum. And this is the idea here, this is kind of like a Destiny or kind of a World of Warcraft-y scenario where they're going to be developing this game over a long period of time and bringing new content. All right.
These glasses are I want to just add these glasses are all preposterous.
So what's weird about this is you actually get glasses as accessories in the game. So I don't know if that's going to take over that slot or we'll find out.
No idea. All I know is that I'm not going to wear like the Bret Hart wraparounds if I'm running around in the post-apocalypse. I'm just going to throw that out there.
All right. Let's see what we got on Twitter. Let's see who's tweeting at us, asking all kinds of questions. So tweet at us at IGN with the hashtag IGNPlaysLive. We'll answer your questions. Right now, I'll go to Twitch chat. What's up, Twitch chat? Blizzard 5050 with an ironic name for the question wants to know, how grindy is it? From what I
be able to
played,
answer that better than I would.
what I played in the beta, it was, it's an MMO. It was a bit grindy, but there is a light narrative, and then there is a nice breakup in that pace because of the Dark Zone. The first time you get in the Dark Zone, it's just awesome. It's totally different than anything you've done before in the game. So, all right, who else?
Okay, first things first. I gotta invert. I gotta do it.
You're one of those people.
I am one of those people.
Tell us the story of how you became an inverted division agent.
The story is pretty simple. I'm like, I don't know, like for as long as the invert's been an available option, I've taken it.
Oh, cool, interesting.
Yeah, I really don't know how to. I don't have like an awakening story. That'd be good. Like if I had to think about, like how I first became.
You were in a terrible accident, and everything in your life got inverted, but you became a masterful user of inverted controls.
No, I just like I don't know. It's always made sense to me. Like whenever I have to play non-inverted, I'm always like, ooh, what, huh, what? How do I live? How do I even do this?
So one thing I think that struck me initially about this game, and it's a tiny little detail, but my goodness, is it both out of place and awesome at the same time. You can go up to pretty much any pane of glass in this game and just cut a chunk off of it with your gun.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's kind of sick.
And that attention, like that, for whatever reason, has immersed me in the world, despite kind of having these enemies that can take a lot of hits in some of the harder difficulty dungeons. Doesn't feel very realistic. My gun does feel like it has impact because I've cut out my name in a window with it, and it's very interesting. All right. Let's see who was talking about what. YouTube chat, what's up? I'm sorry, I'm juggling like 10 things here at once, playing my own version of the game. Let's see if we got some questions, and from whom. Daniel James Goodall wants to know, have they added melee? Yes, melee is in the game. And actually, melee is the way that you execute people once they go down. You can shoot them, but it takes a lot of hits to bring them completely dead once they've gone down, but the melee is just your best friend in that scenario.
So now, I don't know what it feels like on other consoles, or something feels very strange about my controls right now. Like, I'm having a pretty significant amount of trouble.
Did you play Gears of War?
Yeah, no, I did, but I'm having a lot of trouble just moving right now. I don't know if that's...
So there's... you hit in the left button to sprint. Or maybe actually that's not even enabled for you. That could be it.
No, it's not even just that. Like that is enabled, but there's times when I'm pressing forward, and my guy is just moving sideways. I'm not sure if maybe I need to swap out my controllers here. Yeah, we're gonna try swapping controllers out because I'm definitely having I can't move forward right now. There we go.
Yeah, for me, it was a pretty quick translation over from Gears of War, but I actually played the majority of my time on PC. And PC controls are a little counterintuitive. Like, you hit control, which you would think would be like a crouch button to jump and vault.
Yeah, like if anyone's looking at my hand right now on the stream, like I'm
yeah,
full
pretty sure
tilt.
it's that controller.
Yeah, I'm full tilt holding up on the stick and not going anywhere. But it does give us an opportunity to look around and see how this game. This is, guys, I'm here to tell you, this is a gorgeous game. I don't know how well it translates over the stream, but like I was not. So it's really funny because when we first saw the Division at E3 2013, like everyone, that was like kind of in the early days of the new generation being shown, and everyone was just kind of gobsmacked at the time. But then now, like a lot of time has passed since then. We've seen a lot of games come and go since then that have been really good looking, and so like I kind of thought to myself, when I see this in action now, it's gonna feel old. Like when it looked next gen back when I saw it years ago, but
Like
I was like, man,
2012 or whatever.
right, exactly.
Right.
Like but I'm like, but now in 2016, after I've seen a bunch of current gen games, I'm like, this game is not gonna differentiate itself visually at all, and I was totally wrong. This game, is
Yeah,
stunning.
it does.
This
It
game
looks
is
really good.
stunning.
Yeah, and again, there's really good attention to detail. You can shoot most things on the ground. There's not a ton of physics objects, but especially the glass, and of course these car doors. If you can sidestep your way over,
Yeah.
you can close those with any manner of options. Nate Dogg, where'd you go, Nate Dogg? First of all, welcome back to being alive. Too soon.
Yeah, wow, that's really impressive. Those are really realistically just decals, just bullet decals, but the way they look really good though.
Sure, and then there's also like panes of glass that you can cut a circle in. I don't think the car door physics have it rendered, but Nate Dogg 474 wants to know: will there be loot trading? Yes, there will. It is not currently implemented, but it is going to come as a free update. It's one of the first things they have planned. And again, like I said, there's a lot of post-launch. I would imagine that this game would be defined by its post-launch support, and there's a Division Season Pass DLC trailer, which, regardless how you feel about Season Pass and DLC, does outline a really good plan if you look at it as an MMO for,
Sure.
hey, look, we have free content update 1, free content update 2, all these quality of life things, loot trading, Dark Zone updates, and then we have expansion 1, 2, and 3, and that's all year 1. So that's exciting to me. As somebody who is a big MMO player, I can't really remember an MMO in recent history that's been like, hey, here's this MMO, and also here's all of our content.
Yeah, word. Let's see what we got now. Yeah, there we go. Now I can move. Yay! Now I look like I know how to play a video game. Sweet. Yeah. Oh, this is much better. Yeah. Now I can actually play this game. All right. So we're heading to our little safe house.
Mako 64 wants to know: do you require PS Plus or Xbox to play this Xbox Live Gold? Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
You do. Which actually, I'm surprised. I think that means my Xbox Live Gold has been active for like a year of me not playing Xbox games, which is.
Oh, look at this. We already got people in here having some fun, doing some calisthenics. I respect that.
Sure, and this is a great job of kind of introducing you into the shared world shooter. It's not a true MMO. It's not like, okay, I joined the server, now I can see you in the world. It's instanced, however, it does a very good job of instancing you in with other players who are like-minded. There's actually a little laptop you can go over there and just matchmake to do whatever.
Oh, cool.
Which is great.
I'm actually gonna correct you though, James Duggan. This is actually a true MMO because if you walk into a social space and there's someone doing a dumb emote, it's an MMO. That's as MMO as MMO can get. So we're there.
Meaning, oh yeah. I say it's subjective. What I mean by that is like,
no,
I know you're being sarcastic.
I'm being sarcastic.
I just want to.
It is not a true MMO, but as far as I'm concerned, this is like you're like 90% of the way there.
I mean, he's slash dancing right there.
Exactly.
In this whole neighborhood. Riders are moving
And actually,
in force and headed this way.
I'm gonna let you do this little plot thing.
Yeah, I
I'm
want
gonna
to
say my piece.
I see someone else got the call. I'm Agent Fei Lau, Division. Activated the same time as you, part of the second wave of us going in. I don't know what happened to the first wave, but unfortunately, there's still lots left for us to do. We don't have much intel, and we don't have the luxury of failure. Not with Manhattan under lockdown and Brooklyn on the brink. People like me, and you, we're what's left to hold the line. When we left,
Exposition.
we'll have more to go on once we
There's
rendezvous
a lot
with
of
the commander.
that serious
More about the
exposition.
situation, about who's turning the streets into a war zone, anything that's going to help us do what we're supposed to do. Now, if you'll excuse me, Lieutenant.
Officer Hazen and his team are handling situation reports. If you're looking for a hotspot, that's who you want to talk to.
Hi-yo. Cool. So I presume there's going to be, yeah, I can assume there's going to be plenty of that kind of thing.
Yes. So I remember back in the early days of the MMO, there was a lot of like talk about, oh, is it instance? And that was kind of a dirty word. Now with the advent of Destiny and I think other games and the realization that all you need for an MMO is a lot of players and not all these like, we need 2,000 players on a server. It's not an MMO. The Division does a really interesting job with its instancing because aside from the fact that it actually affects the gameplay. So when you go into the Dark Zone, and you queue up with potentially 3 other agents going to the Dark Zone, that means that there's not going to be a group of 16 people spawn camping you. Basically,
Right.
the fact that it is instant, so that is, there are positive and negative quirks associated with that. But that's one of the things I found as a solo Dark Zone player was tremendously helpful. Just the fact that I can go in there solo and not get absolutely destroyed was cool.
Sweet. Like, I just want to get out of the way of everyone trying to get in here and take a look at my abilities here. This is the stuff that I care about. This is where the division really has to like win me over. I feel like is in the whole skills and the skill trees stuff. Like, this is the stuff I care about in RPGs.
Right.
And I don't want to be let down here. I felt, Destiny was a little thin there for me, but it kind of made up with really great shooting mechanics.
Sure.
So I just want to see what we've got here. So.
Oh no, I don't have any med kits.
Oh,
no.
Ben. Hi, Ben.
What's up?
Hey,
Hey everybody, I'm James.
James just bought it on his
did.
game. Let's see what we got here. Okay, so we got the medical tree, tech tree, security tree.
Don Boonst wants to know, has the game felt repetitive yet? I'll answer that.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, there were PvE missions that felt repetitive. They felt side questy. But again, I think all of that is to support this either number one, the Dark Zone, and then number two, potentially these incursions, which are kind of going to be like, I use the phrase Destiny raids loosely. However, it's definitely some really cool, interesting mechanic content is the expectation there. So, yeah, it's definitely not like I'm trying to think of a game that was absolutely never repetitive in anything it ever did. But if I would be lying if I said there wasn't some repetition to this game.
Sure. So then we got talents, it looks like, and perks and other stuff. So it looks like there's a fair bit of stuff to mess around with, and there's modifications for your for the skills that you do have on. So that's kind of cool.
Did something wrong.
And in any case, I'm going to go with this first skill in medical, the pulse. In general, whenever I can in games, I like to any skills that allow me to be playing more of a game of complete information rather than of incomplete information. I almost always opt for that.
So you can change skills at any time. You can kind of open it up, and that's something that I like because there's this kind of like holy trinity there of tank, healer, DPS. I'm definitely simplifying it at that point, but you can be like, oh, okay, we already have 3 medical specialists on our team. I'll switch and take some tanking skills or something like that. And there are things like threat. There are things like healing your teammates. And then one of the other cool things is you kind of go through and upgrade that progression of your skills by upgrading your base and doing side missions. So there's a nice tie-in there to the narrative, which is very nice.
Yeah, one of the things I'll be taking a look at is.
Who are you? Why are you shooting me?
It's not real map. Oh, nice. No, something that I do look at, generally speaking, with these kinds of games is, I do like there to be some kind of incentive to make solid decisions where you're not totally locked into something, but like where there's actually consequences for your choices. Like you have to kind of live with a certain amount of your choices. A lot of like Destiny does that with your weapon, right? Like you spend all this time upgrading your weapon. So it's like if you decide to spend crafting resources on upgrading your weapon, then that's like you've made a decision that you're going to stick with that. And if you don't, it's like you can switch whatever you want, but like you're penalized because whatever you switch to isn't going to be as powered
It's a similar scenario here. It's like if you as you get towards the higher, it's similar to Diablo 3, and I think that's a really good system where like you start out the game, you can switch pretty much freely. There's really no detriment to doing that. But then as you start getting more serious and you get towards the end game, you start gearing up for a certain archetype and a certain build. You're not going to have that gear on hand to just be like, okay, I'm going to completely change what I'm doing here. And there are things that benefit certain skills, skill cooldown, health, damage, and then there are also every weapon and piece of armor has what's called a talent, which sounds a little micromanagey, but a lot of them are very similar. But like, for instance, one of my favorite guns is Caduceus from the open beta, and it was basically like a vampire gun, like you'd shoot people, and if you met certain requirements, you would get health back from shooting them.
Gotcha.
It's cool. Excuse me.
Easy there, buddy.
Just getting over
Don't die.
Getting over a little sickness. All right, let's see what's up. Let's see what's up on Twitter. Anybody tweeting?
Yeah, let's talk to people.
Guys, if you want a question answered, the easiest way for me to see it is going to be tweet at IGN with the hashtag IGN plays. Hashtag IGN plays. Is it IGN plays live? No, just IGN plays.
IGN plays live.
Oh, IGN plays live.
Yep.
Okay.
Yup.
That would explain why I'm not seeing anything.
Ha! Ha ha!
All right, here we go. Is the player cap in the Darkstone still 24 like the beta? No. First of all, the player cap was 8 in the beta. And second of all, the player cap now as of launch, I believe, is 30. I could be wrong, but I'm like 90% sure on that. So, and that was from Jordan. Thank you for your question, Jordan. Oh, there's a grenade.
Hi, guys.
So I took a shotgun as a quest reward. Huge mistake.
I guess I should be using my primary weapon instead of my sidearm.
The sidearm's actually pretty good. All right. Jack wants to know, is there any disadvantage to playing as a male or female? No, that's all cosmetic. It's just all completely cosmetic. It's not like World of Warcraft where you're picking a race that has certain benefits or detriments or something like that. All right, here we go. Lone Deviant wants to know, not much of an online player. Is it worth it for a single player? I don't think so. Like, I mean, granted, I haven't played through the whole game here, but this is an online experience. You can do things solo, but I think the best part of this game is sharing it with friends, teaming up, doing things you can't normally do alone, going into the Dark Zone with a group of friends, and really having a shared experience. There's a lot of very good narratively driven single-player games out there. I would be surprised if this was one of them.
Well, that's kind of the thing is that, even if that's the tough thing about reviewing games of this kind is that, like, sure, the understandable assumption is that the game is going to be played with other people, and that's ostensibly how the game is supposed to be played. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that there isn't room for good world building and some good story elements.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
But
So, it's easy to say, like, hey, the game is supposed to be played with your friends. And it's like, yeah, so play it with your friends. And I'm not saying it needs to be fun to play solo also, but I would say that, like, whether your friends' antics are adding to the game or not, it's a richer experience if they can find a way to tell a story
That's
and
true.
create
it's
atmosphere.
It's
on
not
their
even
own.
necessarily your friends. It's just with other people, like
Right.
matchmaking, teaming up organically in the Dark Zone. I think those kinds of emergent experiences are what this platform is facilitating.
Right.
And I think part of how good the game is how well it facilitates that interaction between players. I think, if you played League of Legends and if all you played in League of Legends was just with bots against bots, then you're really robbing yourself of the core experience there.
Sure. No, absolutely. I totally agree with you. All right, so let's go out and do some other missions.
Missions. Love it. Man, so I went through the entirety of the beta with a skill that was just like a health pack whenever. I don't have it, and I am completely hamstrung. I'm just like, I'm dying. How do I live? How do I live? All right, let's see who's tweeting at IGN with the hashtag IGN plays live.
See if you can recover that crate.
I dig this, like, augmented reality kind of navigation line. I have the worst sense of direction, both in games and in life. So I super appreciate this.
Yeah, that was one thing I surprisingly, actually, when I first saw some like videos of this game, I was like, this UI looks really busy. I got it, and I was like, okay, pretty much all of it is very functional. It's serving a purpose, and I'm not too mad at it for. I actually think it's pretty well designed. It does a good job of conveying telegraphs. I'm kind of a fan of the flat as opposed to realistic nature of the design. That's getting a little graphical, but anyway.
Yep. No, I like it, dude.
Toasted Gaming wants to know,
Oh.
hey, IGN, how big is the game storage-wise? Wonder how long the download is. I actually didn't see on Xbox. I know in the beta it was about 29 gigs.
Yeah, and the day one, just so you know, the patch that you'll be going with right out of the gate is on PS4 anyway. It's 2.8 gigs.
2.8, really? That's it?
Yep.
2.8 gigs?
That's not the initial
that's the
install. I'm
update.
saying,
I was like,
I'm
my
saying the
goodness,
update.
okay.
The update is 2.8.
It's like they're really optimized. Okay, yeah. Okay, that's good to know. And I'm also kind of happy that they have a whole bunch of fixes already for day one. It's cool. I just have not found an ammo crate my whole time. I think it's because I've been distracted with people talking.
What I really like is that there's definitely a Clancy esque weight to how your character moves and how the guns fire. So far, at least, this is my first real solid time sitting down to play the game. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I think the shooting kind of feels okay for me. I think that a lot of it is, at least when I was playing on PC, it actually feels a little bit better here on Xbox in terms of the latency between when you shoot and when the bullets hit. Like a lot of the times in the beta, I would shoot a sniper rifle, it would definitely connect, and then I'd wait like maybe a quarter of a second, and the guy would be like, ugh! And that was kind of ruining my gunplay, not ruining my gunplay experience, but it was definitely bringing it into the, this is an MMO that I'm playing zone. Not feeling that so much here, but it could be because I'm in an instance by myself.
Sure.
But they could have also updated their server structure, so who knows? We have a tweet here from LuluC2 who says, wow, is it me or was this hideout a complete sausage fest? Yes. It was pretty much all guys. They're doing jumping jacks, hanging out, having a good time. Ladies, welcome, but just not showing up. What's interesting, everybody has a different take on this. Like Justin Davis, for instance, whenever he has a choice to play between a man and a woman, he always picks a girl. And I actually played with a lot of people like that in World of Warcraft. I've always like, it sounds weird, but I've always tried to get myself into the game, like almost like try and create an avatar that's at least similar to me. But I could be in a minority here.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people feel that way. Like it's interesting.
Which is boring as all hell, because like you could be playing a giant cowman, but I'm just playing a human, you know.
Right, and that's kind of my whole thing is that like I never have approached games. I've never approached games as like this is my escape from reality where like I'm the me I wish I could be. Like that's not the like that's a totally valid way to approach games as like a fantasy world that you want to live in and project yourself into. But like that's just not the way I've ever engaged with games. I've always I've never seen the player character as a stand-in for me, you know, where I'm trying to be them, or I wish, or they're a representative of me.
That's interesting.
So
interesting psychology there for sure.
Yeah, like for instance, my character here, like I mean, I guess like he's got a beard, so he looks kind of like me in a way, but like generally speaking, like you know, he doesn't really, his build isn't like me, his skin color isn't like me, you know, like I'm not really looking to be like a perfect me. I'm really just looking to be like, I don't know, something different, something that's interesting, something that maybe I think fits the world that I'm playing in.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. I always went with the RP names in MMOs, which my friends made fun of me to no end for. All right, let's see what's up on the Twitters. Go ahead and tweet at us at IGN with the hashtag IGNPlaysLive. We'll do our best to answer your questions. I have a lot of beta experience. Vince here is reviewing the game, so let us know what you need answered. Ooh, wow, we have quite a bit. Oh, my goodness. This is the terrible idea that I had to play and capture and answer questions at the same time.
It's hard.
I'm going to go ahead and prioritize answering questions as my controller vibrates endlessly on the table. You know what? Is there a pause? No, getting shot. It's an MMO, James. There's no pause. You should know. Of all people, should know this.
I got way too aggressive there where I didn't need to.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and rapid-fire answer some questions. Megan Ellis says, will The Division fill the void that the lack of Destiny content has created? Sure. I think that even with The Division, though, I don't think it's going to be a scenario where you pick it up and play it every day for the rest of your life until they stop creating content. I think there will be peaks and valleys, a lot like Destiny, a lot like other MMOs, where they have the initial release of the game. There's a huge amount of content and people and stuff that happens, and they have an expansion that reinvigorates the community. But I doubt there's going to be such a continuous line of content creation. What's up? The show is live. Check out the Division HQ. It's on IGN. It is our Division podcast, similar to kind of the Vault for Fallout. It's myself, Destin Legary, and Brandon Tyrell for the first episode, but could have gentlemen like Vince and Janito on the show. Go ahead and check it out. It's on IGN.com right now. We dive pretty deep into what you can expect from the launch as well as the post-launch content and what our feelings were about the beta. We kind of give like a little bit of a review discussion of the beta, even though it's a beta, so it's not like you can really review it. But all right, let's keep answering these questions here on Twitter.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, right now, I do like the. As of right now, like I like the shooting model. It feels like a nice in between. It's like not. It's not as kind of aim by wire like as Gears of War is, but you're having a rough time.
I just shot a guy's grenade pack and it blew up in my face.
Did it at least kill him?
Yeah, it did. But Steve Blomkop wants to know, I wish the damage model in this game was less MMO stat-based and more lethal. Like a more accessible DayZ. You know, that's interesting, because when I originally saw this game, I thought it was going to be like a more accessible DayZ, and the Dark Zone is kind of that, but it is certainly an RPG, so if you're not into the whole RPG nature, which I, for one, totally am, then yeah, it may not be your deal. But, that being said, unless you're fighting heroic opponents or other players, for the most part, everybody goes down in about one shot or two shots to the head. If it's higher level than you, if it's an elite, or if it's another player, it's going to be way less realistic. But that's actually a good thing, I think, for the Dark Zone, because when you go in the Dark Zone, you already die pretty quick if people are geared well. So if you're in the Dark Zone and you just get completely blown up out of nowhere with no chance to react, it kind of sucks. So I kind of equate the amount of health that you have in the Dark Zone to something like a Halo, where you have some chance to react, some chance to retaliate, and I really think that was one of the reasons why the Dark Zone was much less frustrating for me than DayZ. It's because it's like, oh, I just got shot in the head. Let me roll and run away. As where if that were DayZ, I'd be gone and I'd have to start all over. So let's keep rolling here. I'm going to answer as many questions as I have. Maldo ZH wants to know, with the release of The Division, do you see it being played more in the near future than Rainbow Six Siege? Yes, absolutely. I think that's just the nature of this game.
Yo, this lighting, man. These lighting effects are pretty real.
Raul Soriano wants to know, do you play with other players at the start of the game? Yes, you can. You come to... We just saw there were a bunch of players we could have queued up, match made, or been like...
Or done, jumping jacks with.
Exactly. And that could have signified some kind of bond that you could have invited each other to a party.
Mm-hmm.
Arctic Warlocks wants to know, getting the game on Thursday, what are the chances of someone being max rank before I jump on? Good. Probably someone being max rank before the end of tomorrow is probably... If I know MMOs, that's probably going to happen.
But would you say like it's more likely in this game than in others? Like, would you say the leveling curve is?
I don't really know. I can't really speak to that. Getting to 8, which was insultingly easy, obviously. I would imagine the levels get harder and harder after that, so it may be a couple days, but I doubt it's going to be like months. I doubt it's going to be like Vanilla WoW or something like that.
Well, I was trying to be cute.
Vinis Pravidi, I did my absolute best to pronounce your name, so I hope I got it right. How big is the map? I guess will it take forever to find good stuff in there? The map is pretty big. It's pretty sizable. It's a chunk of New York. It is broken up by... Actually, it is seamless, but you can... There are, like, little safe houses and things in the middle, and you can fast travel, so it's not like you're going to have to run from Queens to whatever other part of New York. I'm not that familiar with New York. Aiden Costello wants to know, what do you guys think about the customization in the game? The weapon customization is pretty cool. I think the build customization is going to be good. The character customization, whatever. Wasn't anything to write home about. 0001000, some kind of binary. Does the character creator have more customization options? I think that was pretty much it. I think it's you get a couple of preset faces, you get a couple of hairs, a couple of beards, a lot of neck tats, a lot of really sweet neck tats.
A lot of sweet neck tats. Sweet neck tat, bro.
Alex Pineda wants to know, how's the game's performance, any screen tearing, etc. Pretty good on my end so far. The FPS is 30 on Xbox, and I believe PS4 as well.
Yep, that's what it's looking like.
Which makes me wonder why I'm capturing at 60, but hey. On the PC, the performance was superb in my experience. It was great. Didn't have screen tearing, 60 frames per second. The game looked gorgeous. That could change, but my experience with beta was pretty good in that department. Okay, let's keep going. Chris wants to know, are there more visual settings in the full game? If beta had chromatic aberration and sharpening, I believe that's it. For the PC, you have a plethora of things you can play with.
On the console, not so much.
Not so much. I have a pretty decked out PC at home. Well, it's not really that decked out. But anyway, there was the minimal performance to the max settings is there's a pretty good chunk there for lower end PCs. You should be able to run it. Maybe not at 60, but certainly at 30. And then for the higher end PCs, you can really push this game to look nice.
Yeah, I mean, I want to stress, like, this game looks, on console even, like, this game looks beautiful.
Tristan wants to know, what was your favorite aspect of the game compared to the beta? Well, we haven't really gotten that far yet. from my favorite experience from the beta was absolutely the Dark Zone. It was great. Sincerely, Abram wants to know, are there raids in the Division? There are going to be incursions, which are basically like dungeons. It is a 4-player cap, so it's not like a 10 or 20-player raid, but hopefully we'll see some interesting mechanics there, but neither of us can speak to that right now.
Agent,
Nope.
excellent work. We're grateful for all the lives you saved.
Would you compare
Why
this
don't you come
to
on
something
back
like
here?
Defiance or Destiny?
We got a little something for you.
Defiance. Man, comparing this to Defiance is depressing, so no.
Yeah, that makes me sad.
Comparing this to Destiny, sure. I think Defiance, God, that was just a big nothing, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a rough
And
situation.
the development studio who created that game were some talented individuals. Tryon has made some interesting content over the years,
Yeah, they have.
for better or worse. And the tie-in with the show was just that just didn't work.
Quick question: do you know how to fast travel back to the safe house?
Yeah, Square.
Well, that smartass.
Devin Wilcox says, "Hey, question: do you notice the bullet recoil and sponginess differs from the beta? Does the gameplay differ? I would say it only differs from the beta because the enemies we're fighting now are tuned to be less statistically difficult. So, like, if you're shooting an enemy with 100 health, he's going to die in one shot to the head. If you're shooting an enemy with 4,000 health and 10,000 armor, you're going to empty clips and clips and clips into him. So, again, this is an RPG. It is not a realistic shooter.
Right, and that's the thing that's kind of like you said before. I think you were hinting at. I haven't talked to you guys about this, but that difference between what the game looks like and what the game feels like, right?
Right.
So it looks like it's going to be a more realistic kind of tactical shooter,
Sure.
but then
Yeah, but then you play it, and it's an RPG. And
yeah, and I think the thing that's crazy about that too is that like even the I think the shooting model feels a little more like something like Tom Clancy, like a Tom Clancy game, than anything else. It definitely feels like there's recoil and bullet spread that you need to like think about and kind of compensate for as you're firing and firing. In
yeah,
bursts.
there is good bullet spread, and it depends on your weapon, and you can do things to like reduce that. So I think those mechanics are interesting enough. I was watching a Total Biscuit video, and first of all, we were in each other's minds because I completely agreed that like the aesthetic for an MMO, it's weird that they would go with reality because there's so many things you can do that would not reality. You know, you
Right.
can have bosses that shoot fire and all these other crazy things, and especially like loot driven. He made a point about loot that I just didn't even think of, which was like, so I'm going to do all this work to get these legendary guns. They're going to do what? Like, they're not going to shoot lightning. They're just going to be better performing guns. And I agree to that to some extent. However, with guns like Caduceus, they do kind of tread that line in an interesting way where it's like, this is bending reality a little bit. Like, no gun in real life is going to siphon the opponent's life force back into,
Sure.
my blood or something like that. So I'm interested to see where that goes. I'm really interested to see the endgame gear, see all the crazy things. I kind of hope it's like a Game of Thrones-y scenario, even though I know it probably isn't, where like it starts out extremely realistic, and by the end you're kind of bending reality a bit, and it gets weird.
Right.
So we'll see about that. But how do you feel? I mean, you'll first probably experience it not here. If you play with 4 players, you will. If you find agents and play with 3 other people, you'll experience the sponginess of the enemies. But if you play by yourself, it's actually pretty easy.
So, what I was gonna say is that on the flip side of that, like sure, placing it in reality feels like it limits it in some way, but that said, I also feel that there aren't enough RPGs that are set in modern day. Like
that's realistic. Yeah,
That's something that I actually kind of like. That's actually something that I really kind of feel bummed out about it sometimes, is that we don't get enough of that.
All right, I'm going to keep reading these tweets. God, we have a lot of them. Go ahead and tweet. What's up? Oh, you do? Yeah. Hit up.
What's that?
Well, hit find agents. I guess it's searching. Hit up on the D-pad real quick. Matchmaking for normal. Yeah, looks like it's going. I didn't see. Go back. It could be that we're in a little bit earlier than other people.
Yeah, that's it too.
But basically, you get. There you go. So now hit right button, and it's going to go ahead and just cue you with that. You actually didn't have to go to the screen. You could have ran right past it and done it solo, so I like it's a little bit seamless there. But I do recommend doing missions with other people.
Yeah, I do want to play a little bit with other people and get a sense of that. But yeah, I mean, I like the idea of taking RPGs and putting them in contemporary settings. Like we haven't, there's just that just doesn't really exist in any large scale fashion, you know. And I feel like it's a missed opportunity. So I'm kind of glad that they went that route here, even though it does create, like you said, these weird situations where you're like everything feels weighty, everything looks realistic, and then it takes 3 clips from an AR for me to kill a dude that looks just like me. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, that's a little strange.
Or less gear than you even, like
Right.
even with a bandana around his head. It's something that I thought I was going to have a problem with. I jumped in the game. I kind of surrendered myself to it, see what it had to offer, and I actually didn't. And then in the Dark Zone, I was thankful that everybody was so bullet spongy because from a gameplay standpoint, it gave you chance to react and maybe come back and not just get ganked straight away.
No, and that's something that I love in shooters in general when they do that, is that like, look, I get that you there's something to be said for the idea that like the more lethal something seems and feels, the more kind of urgent and exciting it can be. But at the same time, I also feel that whoa, being flanked. I also feel that. Sorry, thinking that shooting the thing. I also feel that, you know, so when you look at competitive gaming, right? They when you have 2 teams faced off in the finals, or 2 players faced off in the finals of a tournament, it's like a best of 7. You know what I mean? It's like a long set, and the
Sure.
reason for that is because you want to make sure that the best team has the opportunity to come out on top.
Right.
And like that's the way I see it in multiplayer shooters as well. It's like that's why I've always really loved Halo, and whereas I haven't really so much been as much into Call of Duty, is because I feel like in Call of Duty it can, you know, obviously map presence is important in any shooter, but I feel like also in a game like Call of Duty, it's kind of like he who sees the other one first is kind of like the person who's going to win that firefight. Whereas in Halo, there is a real chance to kind of like to turn it around. Exactly. Like I'm you know, you got the drop on me, but I'm gonna recognize that, and then I'm gonna I recognize that, but then I'm gonna make adjustments and be evasive and find a way to turn that around on you.
And that does definitely play into this game into a sense. There were times where I absolutely should have gotten killed, but by virtue of me rolling out of the way of a grenade, having quick reflexes, turning it around with a grenade of my own, taking good cover, and being smart in my positioning, I was able to counter the gank even against 2 people.
Right.
But gear does play into that. Having another person with you does play into that. So it's not pure skill. But there is, I do feel as though if you're better at the game, then you do kind of square off against even better geared opponents in a pretty good way. So that was one of my favorite things about the Dark Zone. I had a lot of really good experiences there. We'll see if it holds up. Again, they made a lot of changes from the first time that I played the Dark Zone, which for better or worse, the second time I played the Dark Zone in the kind of open beta, it was a much less, I guess, lethal and threatening place, which for me took a lot of the fun out of it.
Sure, I
it was,
can see that too.
If you went rogue, you were killed pretty immediately by a ton of different players, and that had to do with them creating incentives not to go rogue. Obviously, there are incentives to go rogue and not go rogue, but I really think you need to make that part of the game. I don't know. There's a very fine balance to be found there, or else it's going to be a completely one-dimensional play space.
Right.
Let's take some more questions. We got a lot. Steven Chandler says, do you think it is wise to purchase the Gold Edition with the Season Pass now or wait for more info on the DLC? So I think there's a good amount of info on the DLC out right now. However, that's a really tough question because it's basically like, you know, do I play the game and pay for... I can't even really make an analogy to an older MMO. I guess, like, you run less of a risk purchasing the base edition to see if you're number 1 into the game. And there are going to be a number of free updates like incursions, loot trading, Dark Zone updates. So there are some things that you won't need the Season Pass for. But if you want the content down the line, like the expansions, then yeah. But you know what? Probably you'll be able to purchase the Season Pass the day before the first expansion. So maybe you don't need to buy it right now. I don't know. It's a good question. Zachary Trudeau wants to know how many people are usually in the Dark Zone. So it's instanced. I would say maybe 24, maybe 36. I'm not entirely sure. maybe even less, maybe more like 16. But it's a good amount. And of course, you instance with your friends and stuff like that. So, Ewan wants to know: do you think the game is still just as awesome when none of your friends have it and you're always roaming New York alone? Sure, it's a totally different experience. Like when you go into the Dark Zone, you're the mouse, and you really have to look for your wins, as opposed to being the cat and kind of having you and all your friends gank somebody. Matthew Davis wants to know, on The Division, is it single-player campaign or multiplayer only? It is online only. You could play the whole thing multiplayer, though it is not advised. It is kind of an MMO and a shared world shooter. CJ Collin, what's up? How do you feel about adding Brooklyn in the beginning of the game instead of getting rid of it completely? So they're going to add various parts of New York as the expansions come out. Derek Wright says, I can't decide between buying Far Cry Primal or The Division. Any advice? Sure. If you like Far Cry and you like being in the Stone Age, cool. That kind of felt... that game a little bit felt like a Blood Dragon scenario to me, where it's like, I don't know. It depends what you want. Look, I think this game is going to have legs. I think it's going to be this big MMO shared world experience where there's a lot of co-op, there's a lot of emerging gameplay. Far Cry is more single player and linear, I think. Even though it's an open world game, I'm talking about like the progression of it. It's a little bit more conventional. So I personally would pick this game 9 or 10 times over Far Cry Primal, but maybe that's just because of the kind of player I am. You know?
Sure.
Uncle Juice wants to know how many players in a squad. 4. Is the whole map accessible from the start? Can I walk into a higher level area at level 12? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I don't think that there are any artificial barriers. At least in the beta, you were able to go into areas that were even a little bit too high for you. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's correct. Zach wants to know, what is the best feature about The Division? I say it's the Dark Zone. That was what I had the most fun with my first time in closed beta. Ben Diesel says that, does The Division play as an open world game, or is it more of a controlled path you take in the game? There is certainly an optimal progression, but it's up to you. You know, do you want to run missions over and over with your friends on higher difficulties? Do you want to go into the Dark Zone? Do you want to do side missions by yourself? It is open world, but I couldn't go into DZ06 and just start killing stuff because I'd get annihilated because I'm level 8 in a level 27 area. So there's that. Potato King, what's up, dude? What's your favorite weapon been so far? Mine was a double-barreled shotgun. Mine's the vanilla assault rifles are pretty deadly, and the sniper rifles are pretty good too. Shotgun's interesting. I was pretty disappointed with the high-end legendary shotgun. Didn't really do as much damage as I felt it. I felt it should have like 1 or 2 shot people. It totally didn't do that. So my experience with shotguns hasn't been great. Keep on rolling. Lulu C2 says, it seems stealth is pretty critical. Would you fail with a more aggressive strategy? Vince tried and failed. Stealth actually is not even a thing in this game. There's reduced threat, but there's no way to like sneak up and backstab your opponent. You could get closer to them, but that's about it. So despite you see Vince sneaking around, he's really just getting cover for defensive purposes, and stealth is not a big part of this game yet. Maybe there will be a stealth class in the future that can like cloak or something, but not yet. RSD Gaming says, how does the crafting look? It was not available in the beta, ? Correct, so I have no idea. We haven't checked it out yet, but I'll let you know as soon as we do.
Wow, blind fire is really, truly that, blind. Oh boy.
True. If you go solo into the game world, can you encounter other players and join up, a la Destiny? Yes, you can do that. Vanya Garden asks, isn't it strange that even the non-skilled hoodie-wearing guys need plenty of headshots to die? We talked about that. Sure, it's at odds with the aesthetic of the game, but if you can kind of... what's the word I'm looking for here?
Suspend your disbelief.
Yeah, suspend your disbelief, but more kind of... just accept that it's an RPG, that's helpful towards not really thinking about that too much. Let's keep going. If you have any questions, tweet at IGN with the hashtag IGNPlaysLive. I'll do my best to answer them. Got about an hour and 10 minutes left on the stream. And we'll be streaming this for pretty much the whole day tomorrow. Sky Johnson asks, are there rare guns like in Destiny? Yes. There are rare guns. The loot rarity is common. Oh, God, I'm going to mess this up. It's white, blue, or it's white, green, blue, purple, yellow. Yellow being high-end, purple being, I think, specialized, blue being... It's basically like common, uncommon, rare, epic, legendary. So yeah, and the legendary guns, the way those work is you have certain... They're called talents. So Caduceus is an example of a high-end weapon, but you don't get access to all of its talents unless you meet the stat requirements. So for you to wield Caduceus at its full potential, you need a certain amount of points invested into your like survivability, your health pool, and your cooldown reduction or something like that, which are the three. You have bullet damage. I forget. It's in the inventory, but it's like a bullet icon, a health icon, and then a battery icon, which signifies ability, power. Trey Stevens says, I've done my best to stay away from the Division vids to stay surprised, but what is the Dark Zone about? What do you do in it? So basically, the Dark Zone is a place where all the loot is better, for the most part. Asterisk. And then you have these other players that are not hostile, but you can attack them. You can, and if you see they have a little yellow pack, kind of where a fanny pack would go, you can kill them, take that, and extract it. However, you'll be marked as rogue, so then you will be considered hostile, and everybody can shoot you without repercussion. So the idea there is it's kind of an emergent PvP zone, kind of akin to DayZ, with a little bit of weight in terms of your actions.
Excellent work, Agent.
Brandon Cusser says, is there any Destiny-like raids/strikes at the end of the game out of the box? I don't know. I don't think so, but they will be added later in the form of incursions. They've confirmed 2 incursions so far. There may already be one in the game, but I don't think there is. There are missions which are kind of like light Destiny strikes. They're really not that mechanically challenging, at least the ones I've played in the beta, but those are pretty low level. But I think the idea with incursions would be that those are those big end game, mechanically complex and interesting kind of dungeons or raids or strikes or what have you. Those are all the tweets we have right now. Oh my goodness! Oh wait, no, I lied. There's like 20 more.
Well, before you go and do those though, this is my first look at the weapons systems and like the stats and all that kind of stuff. So, so kind of like Diablo, they have like one huge number on it that goes, hey, this should give you your general sense of like is this more powerful, less powerful than what you're rolling with. And
actually, like Diablo, it's the roll is randomized.
Oh, cool. That's
so
nice.
It kind of gives you a little bit of emergence and replayability.
So this MP7, might maybe the max DPS might have been like 2,500. I could have rolled a better one. I like that. But yeah, it looks like there's just a core damage, and then rounds per minute, size of the magazine, accuracy, reload speed, range, stability. Yeah, I mean, I like all that stuff. I don't know. I don't know how. What's interesting is that again, because it's realistic, right? Because it's kind of somewhat based in real life. There's so many different things that can be on a piece of gear in Diablo, right? There's only so many. I mean, there's obviously a finite number of ways in which you can differentiate, an MP7.
You'd be surprised, but yeah, it's certainly not. It's not like this MP7 calls down lightning bolts from the heavens.
Right.
But it may be like this particular MP7 has 50% bullet stability and accuracy for the first half of its mag or something like that. But basically, and that DPS indicator is a little bit of a misnomer because if you go into a gun like a sniper rifle, the RPM on it is absurdly terrible. However, some of the best damage weapons in the game, like I got a great sniper rifle, and for all of my assault rifles, it was like this is a huge DPS decrease. But in practice, if you look at the actual damage, it does like 3,000 damage a shot, and then 100% increased damage for headshots.
Right.
So you do have to dig a little bit. That DPS indicator is a really good indicator for assault rifles and for weapons of a similar class. But if you're going to jump, like that shotgun, for instance, they say it's bad DPS, but if you shoot a guy point blank in the head with that, it's going to do a lot more damage than the police MP4.
So I've got the Navy MP5 and is what I'm walking around with right now,
Yep.
and it looks like the police M4 is going to be
It's pretty much flat upgrade across the board.
yeah. I mean, the reload speed's a little bit slower, but it's the mag is almost the same speed, almost the same size, and it looks like just like a lot more accuracy and range, and it looks like the damage is just higher too. So this looks like kind of almost a no-brainer. I don't want to say completely no-brainer, but
that's definitely a no-brainer. And the other thing that will kind of tip you off to the fact that it's a no-brainer is the police M4 is standard, as where the other ones are worn, which are like the common, basically.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
You'll have to forgive my voice failing. I'm coming off of a pretty gnarly cold, but it should be past.
Inexcusable.
Yes.
Inexcusable.
Just giving me that rich, deep, my throat is all messed up sound. Let's keep going with the tweets. We'll read a couple more, and then I think we'll kind of jump into it because Vince is about to kind of start where you started in the beta, and that's where things kind of open up. Tyrannosaurus Rise says, has the Division announced the Man Bun skin? When the Man Bun skin will be available? I'm really surprised it's actually not here in the at launch. It's a feature we were all waiting for, and it sucks that they haven't delivered on the Man Bun front, but there are a couple of other hair options.
Yeah, that is really unfortunate.
Do we have an official time for when the servers go up? So it's weird. The servers are kind of up now. If you have a physical copy somehow, you can kind of play now. For the PC, they go up at midnight Eastern time. But the servers are up now for PS4 and Xbox One, unless I'm mistaken. It's just the game releases later in the day.
Yeah.
Or I think it's like 9 Eastern or something. It's very strange.
If you have a code, it's 5 p.m. tonight. If you have a download code, I think it's physical copies. People can be in now. Download code is later tonight.
Cool.
Is the way it's working out.
If you want a really deep dive into the Division and whether or not you should potentially look into buying it, or even if you are pretty much considering buying it and kind of want to be up to date on the DLC, what's coming post-launch, as well as what the beta was all about and strategies for the Dark Zone, go to IGN.com right now and check out Division HQ. It is our Division podcast. It's kind of similar to The Vault for Fallout. So if you're going to be stuck at work and you just want to have your headphones in listening to something, go ahead and load up IGN and check that out. Yeah. Let us know what you think.
Cool.
If there's anything we can do to improve it.
I'm digging all the gear slots. I didn't think there would be this many. I thought it was just going to be like, here's your set of armor.
No, it's an RPG.
Yeah.
It goes deep, and in fact, even the skills. I haven't even messed around with the talents because they weren't available. But like, one skill is that pulse, right? That pulse that shows everybody on your map. If you upgrade your medical wing enough, you can then spec that out to have additional options like, okay, this pulse now gives me increased damage against anybody it spots, or this pulse stops me from being seen by other people's pulses, which is really handy in the Dark Zone.
Oh, nice.
So there are ways you can pick and choose and kind of tune, and then of course there are all these like gear options. So yeah, it's an RPG. You have the paper doll, you have all kinds of stuff, and you can start to really dig into what guns do what for you. Like most pistols have this thing called Executioner, which is a talent, which if the target is below 15% health, it does like 800% damage.
Oh, cool.
So basically, if you get a guy to like, I've done it a lot in the Dark Zone, it's really satisfying. You get a guy down to like 10%, you whip out a pistol, shoot him, it'll be like 4,000 damage.
Nice.
So it's like, oh! So that's really cool.
That's awesome.
Hold on, my capture stopped. I gotta go start it.
Oh no! Look at my sweet Division watch. So I think that's a cool thing they kind of established in the opening video is that like apparently you're just an everyday person who happens to be a highly trained operative that's just been waiting for their activation. And the only thing I guess that ties all of you together is that you have these super sweet light up watches.
It's really cool watches.
Everyone's like, "Why do you have that watch? Where'd you get that watch?" It's a fossil.
I mean, I feel like that'd be kind of a giveaway. If they were trying to keep that a secret, you just have this super high-tech future watch. Are you able to? Tim wants to know: are you able to switch between third and first-person views? No, it is a third-person shooter. Although, if you are aiming down sights and you have an optic, if it's a small optic like a red dot sight, it'll just increase your zoom when you hit the right stick. But if it's a larger optic like a hollow point or an ACOG or like a sniper rifle, aiming down sights will bring you into a little reticled scope, which will have various amounts of magnification depending upon the scope. Tim. Okay. RSD Gaming says, have you encountered any bugs yet? Have I? I think I ran into a few. Nothing is sticking out except for the fact that the first beta on PC was plagued with cheaters. I did not see any on the second beta, but it's probably still open for debate whether or not there will be any at launch. We don't know. The PC version isn't out yet. But my second experience with the open beta I didn't really have any cheating experiences when I was playing on PC. DB, a bunch of letters, wants to know what's the max DZ rank. That's a really good question. I have no idea. It was 12 in the beta. I don't know what it is now. As someone who didn't care much for Destiny, this is from SM. I'm truly hoping to be captivated by buying this game on PC. Yeah, I think that this has filled a void on PC of kind of having a shared world shooter on PC where the whole genre kind of originated in terms of an MMO. So, Lucas Elliott Leach says, can you just run through the DZ game in the DZ, or do you have to do the missions? You have to do the missions to get to the point where you can enter the DZ, and then you don't get actual experience towards your character level in the Dark Zone. You only get Dark Zone funds and Dark Zone experience, which levels up your Dark Zone rank. So, yeah, you probably have to do some of the PvE content. You can't just do PvP, though I wish you could because it's sick and it's very emergent, and you just kind of run around, do whatever, get yourself into trouble. I have no idea how to get back there. I couldn't figure it out. There's that little down arrow icon on your map usually leads to some kind of subway entrance, so maybe there's a way around. But
I just wanted to be ready for a fight in case they were accessible to me, but it looks like they're not.
What are your feelings on the delayed region starts for digital DL? How are the lighting changes on Xbox One? I couldn't really tell you because I didn't see them before, but the delayed DLC is really interesting in terms of Xbox getting priority over things like PS4 and PC. For the everyday average player, you're not going to notice it at all. But for us, as a content creator of this game and kind of needing to be first to market with a lot of the stuff,
sure, yeah,
I kind of need to play on Xbox, which I'm not super thrilled about. I would much prefer to play it on PC. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, me personally, the PS4 is, kind of my preferred platform. If for no other reason, just because like I have one, readily accessible both at my desk here at work, but then also I have two at home, both in like the bedroom and the living room. So it's just kind of like easiest for me, and that's where kind of like the most of the people I play with play. So like I would have preferred to play it there, but yeah, the fact that all the expansion content is going to be on Xbox One first by 30 days just kind of puts me in a scenario where I'm like, well, I do kind of need to.
This guy's making out with me.
Oh wow, nice.
I gave him a little water, and he's just thanked me by making out with me real quick.
Little hot,
little kissy.
Snuggle.
I mean, yeah, it's the apocalypse, but it doesn't mean you can't have fun.
So yeah, it's like I'm just kind of like, ugh. I'm gonna, ultimately I'm gonna have to play. I'm gonna be playing bulk for review on an Xbox One. I'm just kind of getting my bearings here a little bit with PS4.
I'm trying to think of games similar to this in terms of what was. Oh my goodness. Can't really think of it. There are games that I played that are kind of like MMO-y that I played in a preview capacity, an event, or at E3 or something, and I was like, I'm not into this at all. And then I sit down, and me being able to dig into those RPG elements completely sold me on the experience. And The Division for me was one of those games, where the first time I played it, I was like, okay, this shooting is fine. It's nothing.
Stop blowing your mind.
Yeah, not blowing my mind.
Right.
The cover mechanics and everything else, and I think all of that serves to facilitate number one and most importantly the Dark Zone and the PvP, which will hopefully be great. It was great in beta, and then B, the RPG elements, which are a much deeper dive than I think you would expect up front.
Part of me is like, yeah, let me buy some protective stuff to kind of replace
I
the
wouldn't
garbage I
even.
have. But I feel like I was gonna say I'm
No,
probably
you're
gonna get.
You're gonna get swarmed with loot. You're gonna
Yeah,
have more
that's-
loot than you can shake a stick at.
That's kind of what I figured. I figured I was gonna end up with way more than I knew what to do with.
All right. I gotta start my. The Shogun's really causing me problems.
Oh no! Let's see what happens if I view a player.
So you can invite him to a group. You will eventually be able to inspect him, check out all the gear that he has, compare your gear, trade with him. But none of those features are in the game right now. You know, trading is going to be weird, because if Diablo 3 taught me anything, it's that trading is not always a good thing.
Yep.
For Diablo 3, it completely short-circuited the reward loop.
Yep.
And basically made that game not fun. And there were other things making it not fun, but trading was a part of it. Like, when you weren't able to trade gear with players, you had to kill monsters to get loot, which is what the game's all about.
Right.
So I wonder how the Division will handle that, because it's a similar scenario. Tristan says, what could possibly be the biggest downfall in terms of people playing this game in the long term? I think if the gameplay turns out to be super repetitive and they're not doing anything interesting mechanically in the endgame content, or the Dark Zone is just the same throughout the entire experience and it doesn't get... They're going to add a lot of stuff to it, so launch may not be a good indicator, but, it's like the game is purchasable, so we have to judge it at launch. I think that some of the most promising aspects of this game are post-launch. I'll say that.
Yeah, and that poses an interesting situation for me, right, as the reviewer, because I can't review the game based on what it might be.
Yeah, you have to review it as what it is now, right?
I can only review it as what it is now, and that's like, if it becomes something else at some point, then that's fine. But as it stands, I can't just pretend it's something that it's not now, which poses kind of an interesting dilemma, right?
Mm.
Oh, we got a mission. I'm going to go to this mission.
Rob Andrews says, and this is something I've talked about to length, so I'll just touch on it quickly. How does the PvP play in comparison to the bullet sponge bosses? It's definitely still, like, you have, so it depends on your gear. If you have a ton of damage and the person has no health, you're going to bring them down almost instantly. And if you open with a grenade, which I always do, and you always should, because there are just so many benefits to front-loading all that damage, you can bring people down within a second flat. If you just start shooting somebody with a little SMG and you just went in the Dark Zone and somebody's super geared, you're not going to kill them. But that has its perks because, again, like we said, and we were talking about Halo and how that gives you time to react and retaliate. It's similar in this game. It's not like DayZ where you're just going to get one shot out of nowhere. You have some time to be like, okay, I'm going to regroup, I'm going to roll back and maybe toss out a grenade. And when I say you have some time, I'm talking about like 5 seconds at most. Or maybe even less than that, maybe like 2 seconds. So it's still plays like it's a fast-paced action shooter, but it is also an RPG, and the RPG elements do affect how quickly it plays. So, hope that answers your question. Muhammad Adel Tari says, I want to know about the customization of the avatar. Is it more accurate? And I assume he means, is it more in-depth than we saw in the beta?
Real quick, I'm sorry.
Shoot.
I want to throw something out here just as again, going back to my bad sense of direction and this GPS interface. In terms of communication, I love things that make it easier for me to communicate with my team what I'm trying to do or where I'm going. So it's like the fact that as I approach this turn, it actually shows Water Street up on the line real quick, just fades it in kind of subtly as I get close to it. And I can be like, hey guys, yeah, I'm making a right onto Water Street right now. I'm almost there. Like I just love things that make it simple for me to explain where, hey, this is where I'm at and where I'm heading without like having that necessarily committed to memory.
And you know what's really cool about that is it doesn't, like, you don't just walk blindly through this world. You start learning it as if you were on your GPS driving through a new street, and then you start learning some shortcuts that the map doesn't show you. Like cutting through alleyways, cutting through buildings, scaffolds, subways. The map does not show you that kind of stuff. It just gives you the basic street route.
Yeah.
And it's kind of up to you to familiarize yourself, especially in the Dark Zone, with all these really cool little nooks and crannies. So I think that element of the game is superb. Andre A. Mellinson says, 3 expansions in 1 year seems a bit aggressive. Worried they might be rushed and not refined. Thoughts? I think they're going to be smaller than you might think. I don't think they're like World of Warcraft expansions. I don't think we're getting increased level cap, though we could be. I think it's going to be more like, hey, we added this Last Stand mode where you have a base and all these enemies rush at you. We added a bunch of subway incursions. I think it's going to be more like that. So hopefully it's not rushed, but that is, you're right, 3 expansions in 1 year is a lot.
Yeah, I can only imagine that those expansions are not like Destiny-sized expansions, you know? But I suppose we'll see.
How big is the map in the game? Actually, can you bust open the map real quick? We haven't really showed it off. So when you open the map, it brings you into this kind of augmented reality, and if you back out a bit... oh, I don't think you've unlocked it yet. Never mind. Well, anyway, it's much bigger than this. This is the whole game area.
Right here.
You have a lot of space, and a lot of that is the Dark Zone, so it's big. Once we get there, we'll... okay. Not going to answer the tweet from Adolf Hitler.
Why not?
Leonardo Lima says, how many different weapons are in the Division? LMGs, snipers, automatic, semi-automatic, and bolt action, pistols, revolvers, SMGs, assault rifles, shotguns. Pretty sure that's it. So around 7 different types. However, there is an enormity of differentiating. Wow, that's beautiful. Differentiating factors in those weapons. Every single weapon has a random role, has random talents. There's some high-end legendary-ish weapons that will probably play like nothing you've used before. But in terms of just when I hold down the trigger, what does it do? Does it shoot automatic? Does it shoot scattered automatic? Does it shoot a shotgun blast? About 7 different types of guns. They've said they're going to add more in the future.
Over there. There's a bar behind that building. Best whiskey sours in Manhattan.
Oh, wow. That's where I gotta
Take
go.
the city back. I'll buy you a drink. Sorry. I mean, when
Well-
we'll take it back. Here it comes.
Can you stop talking to me?
I now have all the incentive I need. A good whiskey sour is a totally valid reason to save the world.
Should be in this chopper. Can't believe it's finally happening.
Where in the H is my weapon pod?
Do this.
Let's do this!
Help!
Oh, no!
Plot twist. Plot twist. Explosions.
You know what my favorite part of Deadpool was?
I haven't seen it, so I don't know.
Well, without spoiling anything, there's this shady character in the back of a bar, and Ryan Reynolds is like walking around the bar, and his friend goes, "Hey, that guy in the back wanted to see you. Here's his card." I don't know. It might advance the plot. Great fourth wall break. Maybe the best.
That's what Mr. Deadpool is all about. I'm like watching what you're doing, and I'm like, that looks cool. I want to do that soon.
So this is, yeah, will you get there very quick after this?
Cool.
Your first mission is like taking back this base that serves as the platform for upgrading all of your skills, and your progression has a stash, has a bunch of vendors, which I recommend you don't buy anything from right away. Kind of similar to other MMO games. Unless it's a huge upgrade that you really just is not dropping for you, you should kind of maybe, I think, save your stuff.
Yeah, so you'd say that that the Division follows the age-old RPG, non-JRPG anyway, structure of like there's absolutely nothing worthwhile at the vendor, and you're wasting your money if you buy that stuff.
The only stuff I bought from the vendor was at the very ass end of the beta when that was going to all be deleted anyway, and like, okay, there are upgrades here for me, but it's a similar scenario, and actually a strange little thing. Going into the Dark Zone doesn't give you experience, so kind of similar to like other MMOs, I think getting your character level to max and then PvPing makes more sense.
Yeah.
But basically, the rule of thumb is there's always going to be better loot dropping for you as you're leveling, so buying anything is not advised.
Sure.
In my opinion.
Yep, no, that's pretty much par for the course.
Let's do this. That's her favorite thing to say. Oh, Fei Lao.
I just like that she likes whiskey sours. It's
I don't
one
think I've
after
ever
my own
had a
heart.
whiskey sour.
What's that? No?
No?
That's an old man drink. You're too young. You're too young to.
It doesn't sound like an old man drink.
It's
It sounds
totally
like
it's totally like old, like 40 and up. Which I'm almost there, but like
Just hold on.
I got some
Oh.
new knee pads.
yeah.
I really like that knee pads are a thing in this game. I really hope they get like overly sizable, like they're the shoulder World of Warcraft shoulder pads of the Division, and you just have these massive steel knee pads.
With like spikes coming off of
You're
them.
like, I could do power slides all day. I don't feel a thing.
Look, you're gonna
You should
be
try
all
sliding
right.
into cover with one of these bad boys.
I know you're missing an eye, Fei Lao, so
Explosion took
I
out
hope
the
we're
commander.
more okay than you.
We have a job to do. We're still gonna do it. It's just
Landing in 1 minute.
Got a job to do.
My right.
War never changes.
I've got half a face, but I'm sure I'll be fine.
So
That's the
I can
shot
say
right
from
there.
the beta, having played a lot of the beta, straight away, when you kind of get done with your final tutorial mission, there are a lot more pips on the map in terms of what to do.
Cool.
JTF 68 to tower. Visual Hudson. Yeah. 2 division agents on
Let's see,
board.
quick matchmake.
Next explosion
Must be the
reserve
group.
right in.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
Okay,
tough because you know
JTF
I'm curious to
68.
see how much variety they get
what the hell just happened?
in terms of like mission structure and variety.
I do need. Okay, this is a really sorry to
Okay,
interrupt.
go for it.
You can play this game without Xbox Gold. However, you cannot use the matchmaking. Weird.
Huh?
I saw other players, but now I'm getting a prompt for gold, so I'm gonna go ahead and whip out my credit card, show it to the camera, my social security card, as well as my birth certificate, and then I'm gonna activate Xbox Live Gold.
Benitez was in charge. He was leading out to the post office, but we lost
You,
contact.
I didn't know you were straight poverty status with the no gold.
Man, so funny story. I purchased an Xbox One. Say what you will in the chat for Halo 5. Played Halo 5 for 2 days. Got access to the Overwatch beta, a game that I was very much looking forward to, and have played pretty much every day since for 4 or 5 hours a day.
Yeah, you have.
And I have not touched the Xbox One since. So that's how I roll. Sorry. Oh,
I cannot get over the draw distance and
looks pretty nice, right?
the detail.
And this is on a console.
Yeah.
They did a great job, I think, finding a spot between performance and how it looks. And all of that glass is breakable. You can't pull out your gun right now, but you could draw a circle in that glass, and that circle would fall off.
That's sick.
Which I've seen that in games before, and I've seen physics like that in games before, but I just was not expecting in a shared world shooter or an MMO.
Yeah, I usually expect anything with a strong multiplayer component like that to be kind of visually weak, but or at least visually average at best.
Sure.
But this is
Let's go
way
ahead
above average.
and read some more tweets.
You know, I get why we gotta wear this shit, but honestly,
Luke Archer says, in playing the beta, we fell victim to a horde of 10-plus rogue players in the DZ spawn. Any countermeasures for this? So you shouldn't. They must have been organically... Well, so the beta probably had... No, it probably had a similar amount of players. Basically, there's no guarantee if Vince leads a group with 3 other people and I lead a group of 3 other people and we try and enter the Dark Zone at the same time, there's no guarantee we will be put together in an 8-player group. He'll probably get his own instance with 24 or whatever other players, and I'll get my own. So unless people all of a sudden decide they're going to group up out of nowhere, kind of emergently, that shouldn't happen. But that can happen. What I will say is going rogue in the open beta, there seemed to be no reward for it. The closed beta was a totally different story. So I'm very curious to actually get in the Dark Zone myself and figure out how it's looking at launch.
Yeah, like this particular visual really strikes me. You know, I was my father was working in the city the day 9/11 happened.
Right.
And you know, so I'm 37, so like I was in.
Did you live in New York for that?
Yes, yeah.
Wow.
So I was in college, maybe 25 minutes away when the attack happened, and so like this kind of imagery is like very burned into my brain, you know, from that time period. Just firefighter helmets hung in memorial, just impromptu memorials, just on street corners and stuff. This is you know, it's cool because it really drives home. It does help. It's a cool little bit of world building. This is like the first thing you see when you walk out of blinding light of that tunnel. Establishes it very much as New York, and kind of it's an easy, maybe it's a cheap way in a way,
Sure.
some people might say, but it's also a very easy way to give people a sense, to set the tone that this is a world in mourning. That's pretty cool.
You know what's crazy?
What's that?
I've gone through that area maybe 6 or 7 times. I never even saw that.
Really?
Not that it wasn't there. It's just the 2 different types of players we are.
Right. Absolutely. And just like I'm also just always looking to see how games like this establish their world, and if they do that at all. Like, am I meant to just run through here from like pip on the map to pip on the map just to get like what I want out of it, or what I need out of it, or am I supposed to feel some kind of a connection to this place, like it matters?
I prefer playing these kinds of games the way you're playing them, though I think I've felt kind of a pressure to go the most optimal route. And this is the difference between me playing a game like this and playing a game like Firewatch or something. Like, I play that for the experience of the narrative. I play this, and it's weird to say, but I play this to like
shoot people in the face.
Forget everything. Get to end level. Hit max rank. Do the end game content.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really a strange dynamic. But so you are leaving that area.
Yep.
And actually, if you go back super quick, because this is just going to help you out, there's a little bit of a board. It's like a little bit of a bulletin board that shows you where you can get stuff. Instead of you having to go and decipher the map, you just hold a button and it all gets synced to your head.
Where is this?
It's back through this area, and then you take an immediate left. And then you're good. And while you're doing that, I'm going to answer some questions. Trey Steven asks, when is the review going up? We're not sure because you have to play it.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna try to have some kind of. I'm gonna try to have some kind of written piece up by the. Thank you. That's very helpful, James. I'm gonna try to have some kind of written piece up by the end of the day, just kind of giving some quick initial thoughts about the world building and like what it's like to step into the world for the first time, and if it does a good job of acclimating you. And yeah, you can expect that then, and then we'll probably be updating with review and progress pieces, no less frequently than every couple of days, until we're ready to kind of give our verdict.
Right.
But again, I wanna really take this world in and kind of do it the right way. It'd be easy to just do what like you said, it's very common to do, which is just to rush, on through. But like, I do really want to see if this game can successfully create an interesting world, because it being reality, it's interesting how it's kind of at a disadvantage in that sense, right? Like, you go into an alien world of the ones that Destiny puts forth, and you really do feel like in awe of the architecture and the angles and the lines of everything, and it's also different and it's also unique. And shiny and colorful, right? And so it's easy to be wowed by it. But then it's like, how do you make someone want to explore? Well, like in my case, like I didn't grow up in Manhattan, but like I grew up around Manhattan, a lot, and I've been to Chelsea,
Right.
Chelsea's a place I've been, So how do you make a place that I've been? How do you make that interesting or fun to explore? Like, how do you make me want to look around it and take in the sights when I kind of feel like been there, done that?
Want to try that window stuff? This window looks like one of those windows that might be good to shoot a circle in.
They'll back down, especially if they got kids. Yeah. But what
I
if
think that's
they won't?
yeah.
Then it's on them. They don't have to die unless they decide they want to. It's their choice.
The automatic weapon actually seems to do a pretty good job
Let
without
some
totally
rich
shattering
assholes
it.
get a pass just because I got a family. Everyone's got a family, and mine's starving. Now man up and let's do this.
I don't waste too many automatic ammo on that, but it still is pretty, the hit decals are still pretty cool.
Oh yeah, check the map. Wow, it's taking a long time to load.
Okay, so it looks like the map has opened up a bit.
Oh, I got it.
So now, is this the entire map, James? Is this as big as it
Yes,
gets?
that is it for now. Though supposedly they're going to add more to that after launch. Sorry, I just had to one up my capture card there. And if that big red area, that's the dark zone, as
Right.
obviously labeled. Ooh, and there's actually area below the dark zone, which was not in the beta. So that's interesting. But so yeah, that it's a significant amount of area, and if you had to run across all of it, I'd say probably from left to right, it'd probably take you 20 minutes, 15 minutes. I don't know.
25 minutes.
So that would be my guesstimation, but that's I obviously haven't done that because I haven't had access to the whole thing. But like going off of what I had in the beta, that's probably about right.
Cool. All right. Well, I'm not going to bore you guys looking over the legend and scanning.
Let's go ahead and
Civilian
keep
in
answering
need.
some questions. Oh yeah, so go ahead and give her a med kit, and she'll give you an
Don't
aesthetic
tell me what to
guide.
do.
There you go. Simple down jacket. Aesthetic. Looking good. The first one that I ever did in the beta was a spray paint, which are extremely coveted items. So I always give them what they want.
Oh, who with the what now? Is a coveted item?
A spray paint for your gun? I had a pink sniper rifle the whole beta.
That's what you call coveted?
Yeah. It's great, man. You get a pink gun. Who wouldn't want that?
I am very old. That's all I can say. This is something you and I talked about though before,
That's true.
which is interesting. Is that like cosmetic stuff means so much to some people, and then to others, it's just kind of like
Who cares?
simple down jacket. Is this the new?
That's it. Oh, look how good you look. So that's a pretty low. I don't know, visual impact. There's a lot. The thing that I like that this game does pretty automatically, it's like, all right, you have these armor pieces that we're changing the aesthetics of, but you also have all these cosmetic pieces that mean nothing for your stats, so you can look the way you want to look, which is always a big part of an MMO. You want to have a sweet red coat, that's totally something you can do. And I'm sure there's going to be way cooler stuff than just a sweet red coat in terms of the aesthetics. We have a question here from, we have a ton of questions, but I'm just going to take one. Where was it? It was a good question. I wanted to answer it. Zombie Boss says, "What's better, the Division, health or armor?" I actually haven't dived into that, but I will say if you have a choice between health or damage, after you're at a certain point in the DPS, I say you choose health because health gets you out of so many more situations. Because then at that point it becomes about your effective damage. Like, let's say you have 4,000 DPS, but you're only going to survive for 1/3 the time. If you had put more points into health, you would have an effective higher combat presence in terms of damage. So, man, I don't know what the deal is, but I am getting destroyed way more so than I was.
Maybe you should try not to be
Beta.
so bad.
You know what? It's probably the controller. You're probably right. I'm one of those mouse and keyboard jockeys. So I don't have access to that yet. Anyway. Wait, maybe I do. Oh, do I? That'd be so nice.
What do we got?
No, it's still
I'll take a med kit. I'll take that med kit.
How deep do you think the subway areas go in the full release of the game?
Oh, this guy's having a good time.
Says RSD Gaming. Well, there's going to be a whole... What is this?
This guy's having fun. He's like, just because I'm dead doesn't mean I can't party.
I mean, I can't gyrate the pelvic region. I don't know. That's a good question. I know there's going to be a whole expansion dedicated just to subways, so you'll probably have more subways there. How much is the season pass? 29.
I
don't know.
That's a good question.
I know the big gold area or the big gold game is $99. So yeah, that's $30.
Guys, I know I've said it like 20 times. This game is freaking gorgeous.
So look in some of the windows that are a little bit lower. You'll see some people poking their heads out and they'll yell stuff at you and go, "Ah, you one of the good guys."
Oh, really? That's awesome. Oh, boy. That was a horrible oversight on my part.
No way. I actually don't know how. Man, I'm such a noob on the console. I don't even know how to throw a grenade.
You're the
Oh,
worst.
there we go.
Yeah, you just tap left on the D-pad to equip to get your grenade.
Cool. Handy. Like it.
Oh, cool. I can check out these coated gloves before.
Potato King says, "Do you agree the DLC should be called the addition, the subtraction, and the multiplication?" Missed opportunity, really. I do agree with that. Potato King.
Seems legit.
Good tweet. Liam McAllen says, I think you missed my point. What are your feelings on the time zone staggered game release for people who bought it digital? I mean, it sucks, but I'm sure they had to do it for some reason or another.
Taking small arms fire. Small arms fire. Who's have us in their sights? JTF hearing this?
God,
Please respond.
This sounds like this is gonna get
I
heavy.
feel like a baby learning to
Hold on.
walk, going back to console after years.
Is it seriously that hard for you?
Dude, it's been a long time since I took a short stint in Halo 5, and that's been it for my controller usage in terms of shooting. Which is funny, because I used to, competitively play Halo 2.
I was gonna say, I thought you were pretty familiar.
I was, man, but I don't know. I guess it's like riding a bike, but it's a little bit slower. All right, how many more tweets we got? We got about half an hour left on the stream, so go ahead and tweet all your questions to at IGN with the hashtag IGNPlaysLive. We'll do our best to answer them, but a lot of your questions probably could be answered on The Division HQ, IGN's Division podcast. It's live on IGN.com right now. Go ahead and check it out. Show us some love. Let us know in the comments if there's anything we could do better or you want to see on the show, and we'll make it a reality.
That's right. James Duggan is going to make your dreams a reality.
That's very true. Guaranteed.
Or your money back. Please don't pay us for this podcast. That's a bad idea.
We do not have a donations tab in the podcast, so I think we're okay. Alrighty, what's the name of the virus in this game? Asks Zahid Malik. It's called something like the Dollar Plague or the Black Friday.
The Green Plague, don't they call it?
Yeah, I think that's it. Wade Winston Wilson with the Deadpool avatar wants to know what kind of baddies you get to kill. A lot of thugs.
A lot of people.
There's a lot of there is this kind of other faction you're fighting called the Cleaners, which is kind of this similar to like a fanatic organization. They just want to kill everybody who's not a cleaner and who hasn't been wearing a hazmat suit the whole time, so they go around with hazmat suits and flamethrowers, just killing everybody. So far, that's been it, though they do promise new enemies types in the expansions, and I guess we'll see what the future holds, just in terms of enemy types in the base game.
I'll give you a med kit. Everyone gets a med kit.
Everybody gets canned meat.
Everybody. Buddy.
So the things like energy bars and canned meat and the power drinks actually clear CC effects. Though
nice.
even on the PC, having all those buttons to hit, I have failed to use them when I'm CC'd. There's not like hard CC, but any kind of bleed or any kind of fire effect. I'm pretty sure most status effects stop you from sprinting, which in the Dark Zone means death.
Wait, what means death in the Dark Zone?
Being able to not sprint.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Unless you're at a heavily fortified area and you have a bunch of teammates on your position.
Nice. Got myself a cap.
Cool. So you're starting to feel the burn.
Is that what that means?
That is. I just associate anything good with feeling the burn.
Dispatch.
I'm gonna. I put on my cap and now I'm ready to be a
Millennial?
A millennial.
Come over to me, guy. Like, I'm not going to... People are bad at this game already. There's already bad people at this game.
Isn't
Dude,
everyone bad at this game? Maybe the
awful.
game
I'm
just
not
came
reviving
out.
you.
James Duggan.
Like, all he has to do is crawl over to me. Nobody's going to shoot him, and then I can revive him.
Unit 43, be advised, you have incoming division agents as backup to your location.
So you're almost at the base.
Cool.
I'm going to die.
I saw the dumbest. Survey yesterday. It was like a 15 question survey, to determine how millennial you are. And like I've said, people have probably heard it once or twice here on this stream. I'm 37.
That took a while to get out.
I'm 30. I'm trying to shoot at the same time. You young whippersnapper millennial, you.
What was your millennial score?
So it was weird because like I'm 37, so like I thought like I'm not gonna be very millennial at all. Like by some definitions, I'm right on the cusp of almost being a millennial, but I'm not. But nonetheless, I scored like an 89 or something on being out of 100 and how millennial I am, and I'm like I don't understand that. And the questions were these ridiculous things like it was like, have you played a video game in the last 24 hours?
I do that for a living.
Do you? I'm like, exactly. I'm like, I literally do that for a living. Like, have you read a newspaper in the last 24 hours? I'm like,
nobody reads those.
I'm like,
Yeah,
literally no one, including my 73-year-old father, reads those. Like, so I'm not really sure what you're getting at with that, but
Should have done the solo. It was a mistake to group up with a Randy.
you know, and then there was like, it was asking like, are you heavily religious? And I'm like, look, I don't understand. Basically, it
It's a
was
pretty
like,
subjective thing
Yeah.
to find out if you're millennial or not.
yeah, I mean, and it was funny because it was just like, hey, you know, basically, if you use technology,
If you have one of them phones that doesn't plug into a wall all the time,
yeah, no, that was actually one of the questions. The question was like, do you have a cell phone or do you just have a landline? I'm like, well, I have
who
a
has
cell
a
phone.
landline? This is like, are you living in 1996? I don't
Exactly,
think
that's what I'm saying. Like,
quantifiable as being a millennial. or not.
my parents do still, like I said, who are older, do still have like a landline, but they barely use it.
Here's how I define a millennial. I define a millennial as somebody who picks a movie on Netflix, it fails to load in the first 2 seconds, and they immediately close it. Which is, I've done it. I've done it.
Yeah, I was surprised because I got, like I said, I was apparently extremely millennial.
As millennial as it gets. Dude, I wish I could kick this guy out of my party. This is the first negative experience I'm having co-op. He's AFK, which is cool. So my
That's
choices
great.
are start this fight over or carry this guy.
That's
with
fun
no
for everyone
gear.
involved.
Hey, all right. Tweet time. Here we go. DZ needs to offer more things to do the moment you kill players to level up and loot for better gear. Not necessarily, no. In fact, the last time I played, you were just killing NPCs all the time. But they have tweaked it a lot from the first to second beta, so we'll see how they tweaked it from closed beta to launch. But in the first beta, there was a lot more to do. It was very emergent. You could group up with a team. There was a pretty high skill, like, reward cap. So that experience is enjoyable to me, and I think they are adding more things to do, but I don't necessarily need that they... I think that the Dark Zone is the best part of this game right now. Tim Randall says, is the Division worth buying if you don't have a dedicated group of friends to play online with? Well, I don't think I ever... It's funny, I bought like World of Warcraft to play with friends, and then we all ended up playing on different servers. Oh, he revived me. I take back everything I said about him.
Everything? Really everything?
Really everything. Dude. Is there a keyboard and mouse I could get for the Xbox One? That'd be real hacks. I'm sure someone could do it. So I think if you don't have a group of dedicated friends to play this game with, you will find them organically in the game. This game offers a lot of systems for you to do that, whether it be matchmaking in the town, whether it be just finding people emergently.
Oh, nice. Just like Destiny, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so you, any like townish location, there's just a little laptop, and you can just matchmake for anything that you can do.
That was me being a smart aleck because Destiny doesn't let you matchmake for
It
the
doesn't.
most important all the most important
Oh,
content
that's
that you need
hilarious.
people for.
Yeah, man, you know.
Which is literally why I haven't played.
You know how long
like,
ago I played that game?
Yeah, that's why I every time I have stopped playing that game, that has been the reason why. Because
God, I'm getting shredded. This is so hard with no gear.
Our base. Go on in and have a look around. I finally got some transportation, so I'm inbound. Let's do this.
yeah,
I'm
it's
gonna kill this boss.
every time I've stopped playing
I'll keep
Destiny,
doing Twitter stuff.
it's because it's been because I'm like, yeah, I want to do like endgame like high level content, but like I don't have a group of friends that I play with that play at the same time that I do. So
Yeah,
I'm
it's-
like, well,
I really
guess I'm never doing
dislike
this content.
I really dislike that there needed to be a subreddit to get to matchmake for Destiny.
Yeah.
Like,
Base of operations has potential, but right now it's a piece of shit and we've got no one to staff it.
Damn, say it how it is, Fei Lao.
I know.
She's like, yeah,
I ran out of bullets.
this
Like doctors. There's a virologist running a field hospital over at Madison Square
yeah, this
Garden,
base of
but the whole
operations
area's
is
gone
straight
shit.
booty.
With her,
She's like, nope.
So the way she conducts herself and tells it like it is reminds me of
JTF
Destin
Commander
Legary.
Benitez is out in the field
Reminds you of
and
who?
he's gone
Destin
offline.
Legary.
Bring him back.
Actually, you're right. It does.
Not a mean person, but they just say it like it is.
Yeah, not at all.
We've also got to
Sometimes he
restore
just walked up
basic
to me in the
services.
hallway and he's like,
We need
Vince,
power
I don't mean
and
this
intel
in like a
to
mean
keep
way,
it.
but you're a
We had a guy
horrible
working on
person.
it, but it sounds
I don't mean
and
it's
I-
a mean way, but
and I hate
everything
you.
you've ever done is
Without
garbage.
him, it's lights out.
All right, I have my skill slot unlocked. Things are getting better.
Isaac can
Let's
now
keep reading these
ship people
tweets.
to the wings
Do
and
it.
the base and sync their
What do you lose when you get
broadcasts
killed in the
so we
dark
can have a
zone?
bigger
When you get killed in the
picture of
dark
what
zone, you
happens
lose
here.
DZ funds and DZ experience,
more
as well as
stable
any
this
gear
base
you were
is,
carrying
the
on
better
you
shape the
that you
city
picked
will
up
be in.
in the dark zone and hadn't extracted yet. It's not like DZ where you just start over, or Daisy where you just start over. So yeah, I think what you potentially stand to lose versus what you stand to gain is at a pretty good balance. I do think people who are super overgeared have no reason not to just go rogue all the time, but I think people who are starting to get geared have no reason to go rogue in the first place, at least as of the closed beta. And I think that is a dynamic that needs balancing to get it to a point where if I'm presented with an opportunity to go rogue, I should be able to do it and not just basically like going rogue ends in you dying.
Security wing needs some
Rarely
help.
does it end
And
in you
Captain Benitez.
living out your
The
rogue
JTF
status
loves
as
the
of
guy.
the
We can
closed beta,
mobilize them
which I
and
don't think
help
is a
us
good
get the
thing
intel
for
and firepower we need to get all these
uh,
hostiles off the
you have
streets.
to hit all those little laptops, by the way, which I don't think is a good thing for the just architecture of that area. But, we'll see how it ends up working out in the end game.
Yeah, I mean, like, my experience with playing old school MMOs is that, and just my experience as a human being tells me that literally every single opportunity to make other people's lives miserable, people will take.
That's honestly part of the fun of games like Rust and DayZ. However, the other part of the fun is like that experience is compounded with the fact that you're actually getting something in the game for it. The lack of an incentive to go rogue doesn't stop people from going rogue on the high end, which is
Right.
the people you don't want to go rogue. You want those people to not just be ganking lobbies. You want people who are coming into the dark zone to have a dynamic, emergent experience that's filled with all these different, I should go rogue here, I shouldn't go rogue here, I should rogue hunt now, I'm going to grind up a little bit of experience in DZ funds because I'm so close to getting this weapon, and then once I spend all my DZ funds, there's really not a lot of reason for me not to go rogue. So there are all those factors at play, but when they made a balance change to the reward structure of both what you lose when you're not rogue and what you lose when you are rogue, and just the fact when you're rogue. So it's like one of those scenarios where you're wrong and then somebody tries to correct you and you just get more and more wrong. So when you go rogue, you get a timer, right? So I shoot you in the head with a shotgun, I get a timer for 60 or 80 seconds.
Uh-huh.
Knows more than you think he does.
Somebody sees that I'm rogue and
Suspect will be
attacks
very
me.
useful.
I hit them, I kill them, my timer goes up to 200 seconds. And then once it gets to like 6 minutes, at that point I can no longer gain time. However, everything up to that point, you just shoot somebody in the head and then you start running away madly. And if people hit you, it pauses your timer. So basically, like, you need to hit somebody and escape, or else you're just going to die as a rogue. So there's not a lot of incentive unless you have a group of 4 hyper-geared people to just go to the manhunt.
Yeah.
And then the thing you get for surviving the manhunt is insultingly low. Like, you will maybe complete a manhunt 1 in 50 tries or 1 in 20 tries, depending upon your gear, and you get, like, maybe 2 times what you would get from just killing one
I'm not
person.
gonna be able
Right.
to get out there.
So
Goddamn
I think it
thing
needs
like
some balancing. I think
I'll
that
do what I can
there's a
from
really
here,
cool
but it's not the same.
dynamic
No
there to be
idea
struck. I
how
just
much
don't know if
want
it's
it to
been
be
struck
on the
yet.
field.
Yeah,
Trade
and
for a
ultimately,
scenario
this is
like
one of
this
the
entire
this is
life.
always going to be one of the problems with
It's
any
worse than
game that
anything
is
I could've
largely or
imagined.
mostly online is that whatever plans or behaviors you want, whatever plans and behaviors you think that you make or try to encourage because you think it's what's best for the play environment is going to be always countermanded by people who just have a lot more, who just genuinely enjoy making people's lives miserable.
Sure, but
So-
that's not.
So
I think there are things you can do in terms of the incentive and in terms of the structure and in terms of the balance that may not look great from an outside perspective, but like the thing you have to understand about the Dark Zone is the whole point is you are fighting other players and killing other players. You're being a pirate or you're being a white knight, but at the end of the day, there is that conflict, and I think that there's a way to incentivize that doesn't go to one extreme of the only time you kill people is if you're super geared and you're just making their lives miserable. There needs to be other times in which you would want to gank other players because that's what the zone is all about. By the way, totally forgot about this.
Yeah.
Tomorrow we're doing a giveaway
of
a collector's edition version of the game plus some other stuff. So tune in. What is the time, Ben, that we're doing that? 11 to 3, and that's Pacific. So tune in. And while you are waiting, go ahead and check out The Division HQ on IGN. It's the Division podcast. We do a deep dive with myself, Brandon Tyrell, who's one of our editors, and then Destin Legary, who's one of our producers. And we have a lot of experience between the three of us, so we talk about the future of the game, our experience with the games like World of Warcraft and Destiny, and how that's going to affect what we think this game will turn out to be and stuff like that. So
cool. I like how already early in the game they seem to be introducing this idea of, crafting random stuff. I hope that crafting, like, even if it's rudimentary in terms of like how it's executed, I hope that can be and feel like a viable way to fill an empty slot, or a slot that's just been that's been stagnating in your gear profile. Always sad to see crafting and like any alternate ways of like increasing your effectiveness when they feel like they're just throwaway or useless or pointless. Like they exist just to eat up resources that wouldn't otherwise have value. Always frustrating to see. So hope that they that crafting feels like a viable. And,
I have no experience with crafting, so I'm very curious to dive into that. It's funny because I got a lot of crafting components in the beta, but you couldn't use them to do anything.
Oh, okay, cool. Gotcha.
Obi-Wan Kenobi. What's up, Obi-Wan? Hey, guys, I'm not much of a competitive multiplayer guy at all. Is there much point to playing? Will I just be owned? No, there is cooperative play. And I would even go as far to say that even if you're not the most Twitch shooter around, you can still get by just fine in the Dark Zone if you kind of know what you're doing. But, so there's missions that you can play cooperatively. And then there are also incursions, which are kind of going to be akin to the Endgame hardcore cooperative content. So there's that. Even if you're just kind of a support guy, I'm sure you could find a team that'd be more than willing to run with you.
Oi, what you looking for?
Ishan Barti says, please answer, do you believe that the graphic changing lowering plan just influenced the whole experience of the game? I'm not sure what you mean by that. If you were talking about what we saw initially at E3 and then what we are presented with now, you got to keep in mind that was running on a PC, so you want to look at that. You want to compare that fidelity to a PC, which actually there's a great video that went up in open beta where somebody did, and it was almost 1-to-1. So I think the game looks great. I don't think that I don't know. I think it's immersive. I think it's most immersive when it's on PC running at high settings, but I think it looks great for an Xbox One and PS4 game.
I think this game looks ridiculous. I think it looks really good. I don't think you're gonna, I don't think this is a game that you're gonna boot up on your PS4 and go, it looks fine, I guess. Like, I can't think of a game that's grounded in like kind of modern contemporary style that looks better than this on this console. Like an urban contemporary setting. Like off the top of my head, I can't really think of it that looks better than this right now. So yeah,
cool.
I want level 5 so that I can attach this new scope.
Your character has Air Max on, dude. I assume he's talking about your glasses. All right. Running out of tweets and time, so we'll try and get through these. Is there a ponytail hairstyle for females? I believe so. or at least more than the basic boyish hair. Yeah, although it's interesting you mentioned that because anytime I've seen a female character in this game, they've had a short haircut.
Huh.
That's a really good observation. I'd have to go and dig and see.
I mean, it makes sense survival wise, right? I mean, like who is gonna run around with like long flowing trusses in in a world like this?
I mean, I probably would.
Of course you would.
What does the police gear set look like? You know, it's a really good question, asks Gamer-san. I have to go to the rewards vendor and check out all the pre-ordery and beta incentive stuff and look at all that. So, and I'm actually not even sure that I got that on this account because I just redeemed a key that I was given without pre-ordering. So we'll see. Anyway, Adam Smith says, "Can I enjoy the Dark Zone playing solo?" I did almost all of my Dark Zone experience as solo, and I loved it the first time. And then when I played with 3 other people, it felt like I was cheating because we were just going around terrorizing everybody. But we were super geared at that point, so that's not entirely fair.
Super geared.
Ted Hewitt says, "Can a 5th player join your group using a tablet like in the E3 demo?" I actually have no idea. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, so during one of the E3 demos, they showed a second screen experience for the Division where you could employ a drone, and that drone would be controlled by a 5th player via their tablet, and that did look pretty dope.
That's really interesting.
Yeah,
I had no idea.
That looked really cool, and I really would like to see if that's borne out here or. Hey, James, do me a favor and remember to wash your hands after coughing or sneezing. After using the bathroom.
Yep.
Before and after.
Oh wait.
Or eating.
After that's a bummer. I don't. Every time I go to the bathroom after.
Every time.
All right.
Damn it, James.
Do the loot drops get better for larger groups of players? No, it's really based upon what content you're doing. That's the incentive to play with multiple. You know, that is a good question. Maybe it does. Maybe there's an increased chance of dropping. I'm not really sure. But what I can tell you is the loot drops, except for dropped off other players in the Dark Zone, are exclusive to your character. Meaning, if I see a blue item has dropped for me, Vince will not see it and not run and pick it up first. But if we both kill a rogue agent in the Dark Zone and he drops all his loot, it's a first come first serve scenario. Jump on that corpse and start looting. What else do we got?
Do I want to search for a group? Nope. Nope. What I want to see.
So we got 7 minutes left. Go up to your left. This is like the first dungeon-y, mission-y thing. Madison Square Garden. I would just run in. You're not going to have time to match people and see how far you can get before we are out of time.
We've got a lot of hostiles inside, Agent. They're holding Dr. Candle and her staff. We need
Whoa.
personnel back at the base so we can get
That can't kill you, actually.
That's dope.
I found that out the hard way in the beta. We have 5 minutes left. Go ahead and tweet at IGN with the hashtag IGN Plays Live. If you have any pressing questions, I'm going to read a tweet here from... I'm not going to read that name, but it's funny. I still have work tomorrow during the live stream. Is there any way I could still win the giveaway? Try and tune in briefly because we'll probably have a link to the giveaway in the description. There'll also be... Yeah, I would just try and tune in, and you don't actually need to watch... I shouldn't say that. You don't need to watch the entire live stream. You can tune in for part of it, and then just enter. There's just a link to win there. But you should watch it, because I believe it's going to be Brandon Terrell, and I'm not sure who else. John Ryan. Yeah. They're a good group of guys, so... Alrighty, let's see if we got anybody else. Sorry, YouTube chat, for not reading your stuff. There was just playing the game, and you and Twitch and Twitter is just too much. But you are all beautiful and wonderful people, and I wish I could have answered all of your questions.
Who's that guy shooting at? Where do you think I was? Glad I have a second weapon slot now. 'Cause I can kind of switch back and forth between.
Think Young Forever says, can you go into the Dark Zone right away, or do you need to be a certain level? You need to complete the base tutorial, which is level 4, and then you could, though I don't know why you would, because you'll be going up against level 6 players. It is very important to keep in mind you don't get conventional character levels in the Dark Zone, just your Dark Zone level, so it's not a viable strategy to go into the Dark Zone and do nothing but play in the Dark Zone. You'll still be level 4 by the time you come out of there, which I have my feelings about, but you know, they want you to experience the PvE as well, so there's that.
Hatched in. Let's see what I can find.
So the end of this, I'm gonna spoil the end boss for you here. It's this guy with a big LMG, just for the sake of talking about it.
Okay.
Big LMG. He's got a ton of armor, and he basically sits up on an overlook, and he has a little UI element that shows when he's charging his LMG and reloading it. When he gets done, he'll just lay suppressive fire, and if you get out of cover, it'll tear you up. So basically, the fight is one of the first kind of mechanically interesting fights in the sense that you have these brief little windows to move from cover to cover. Otherwise, unless you're super geared, you should restock right there, so you get medkits and grenades and all that good stuff. Otherwise, you kind of have to wait, and then once you defeat a couple waves of enemies, he'll jump down and become killable. And so it's like the first kind of scripted mechanic-wise boss. That being said, it's similar to Destiny in the sense that you get presented with that guy as a boss the first time, and then you start seeing that archetype
Right.
after that.
Sure.
Which I like, but I do hope that there are bosses with tons of awesome mechanics. Right now, the only telegraphs you really have to worry about avoiding are grenades. I'd like to see that change. But this all could be in the game. I just don't know yet because we haven't gotten that far. So
Yeah, it's always interesting to see, like, you know, how much they want to make attacks and things about being able to avoid it the first time.
Yeah.
Versus
you can hit A twice to do a roll out of the way.
Yes,
which is really handy with grenades. What?
I'm trying to think where I want to put this.
I probably have to.
My sticky. Maybe here.
If you see anything,
Stick it to a person. Gotta hit.
I know. I'd
you
love
wait?
for someone.
Brutal.
I thought that was gonna work.
Ooh.
Kind of a bad situation right now.
You are in a very bad situation. Yeah, these early levels are way harder than I remember them being, which is funny.
I'm down with that.
Yeah. I will say that the game against AI does get pretty challenging at points, and you do definitely have to work as a team. You do slowly regenerate HP, but it's it doesn't go past that first pip,
exactly.
so you'd have to have some kind of skill. Oh, nice! That was satisfying. All right, let's see if we got any very last minute tweets. Literally the last minute.
Holding on for dear life here, just for you folks.
Ishan Barati says, thanks, James and Vince, for answering anytime. That's why we're here. This happens every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday from 1 to 3 p.m., sometimes longer. Like tomorrow, we'll be streaming from 11 to whatever. And make sure you tune in for the giveaway. And then make sure, after this is over, in the next 30 seconds, go over to IGN.com and check out the Division HQ if you really want to know anything in terms of like really deep divey specific stuff. Because it is our first episode of the Division podcast.
Ooh.
And go ahead and let us know what you thought of it in the comments.
Well, that's
All right, Vince.
that's a great way to end the
That
stream.
is. You did pretty well for that low amount of life. I was impressed. So good job.
Cool.
For all things The Division, keep it right here on IGN. What's up, everybody? Welcome to IGN Plays Live, and welcome to The Division. It's here hours earlier than expected. And in the mad scramble to get a stream together, here we are.
Yes, here we are.
Vince playing on a PS4 and myself playing on an Xbox